Students, will continue with our lecture. So we had ended up with our topic, that is the last topic, that is the file system, that is file operations, as well as what are the operations on the file, that is create, delete, open, close, read, write, append, seek, get attribute, set attribute, and rename. So after that, that this was the explanation of those topics, and then we will start with our new topic, that is directory. So till this file operation we had the topic file. Now we'll start with directory, that is the storage. And so when we talk about directory, the first type of directory system is single level directory system. So you can see only one root is there, and under that there are n number of files. That is a single directory containing 4 files. So one root directory, one main directory in which under you have 4 sub files, or you can say n number of files also can be stored on one single root directory. The simplest form of directory system is having one directory containing all the files. So the simplest and the easiest form which we can go with is the single level directory system. Sometimes it is called the root directory. So it's a single level directory is also called as root directory. But since it is only one, the name does not matter much. So as it's only one, you can identify it very easily. You do not need a convention name, that is difference in the name. As it is one, you can easily identify it. On early personal computers, this system was common in part because there was only one user. So early personal computers, when your only single PCs came into existence, that time it was very frequently used by people, as because there was only one user at a time accessing that PC. So this single level directory system was used by such people. An example of a system with one directory is given in the figure 4.6. Here the directory contains 4 files. So figure 4.6 contains this type of directory system, that is one directory and under which you have an hierarchy of 4 files. The advantage of the scheme. So what is the advantage of the scheme? That is simplicity and is the ability to locate files quickly. So as you have one directory, you can just jump off to that directory and search for the file. That is the one ability of quickly access. And second is simplicity. As files are arranged in the simple format, there is no hierarchy under them. So you do not have to hesitate enough or search enough for a file which you need. It is sometimes still used on simple embedded devices such as digital cameras and some portable music players. So this single level directory system is also used in portable cameras, like if you click pictures that directly move on to your memory card, and such directories have only one single disk, and those all the camera pictures are just moved on to that directory. That is one example. And second example is music player. Your music player has a single level directory system. All your music files are stored on that particular disk or directory in the form of a list. You just have to click on the music and that music gets played. So this type of format, second format, is music player. Consequently, a way is needed to group related files together. Now when I say I need a directory, one question comes in mind, that why do I require a directory when I have files to arrange the data? So when I want to add multiple files, or I want to arrange a group of files somewhere together, I need a bunch of files to be stored, and for that I need a destination, and that destination could be a directory. For example, might have a collection of files that together form a book that he is writing, a second collection containing students' programs submitted for another course, a third group containing the code of an advanced compiler writing system he is building, a fourth group containing grant proposals as well as other files for electronic mail, minutes of meetings, paper he is writing, games, and so on. So there is an example given, very easy example, that yes, a person is performing some task, and that task are in different levels. So those tasks cannot be kept in one single file. So they need n number of files, and for that files to be grouped together under one task, they need a directory. So they have given example that a person is writing a book. When he is writing a book, the data which he has written, he will keep in one file. The second is the collection of data which he wants to submit it to his students, he will keep in another file. The other is he wants to submit some compiler writing codes of the project to some another person, he will make third file. Fourth is, once the book is done, he need to grant proposals for that book. That is, granting proposals means to approve that book as a original handwriting copy or handwritten copy. Then he is doing some minutes, that is, he is mailing some data, as well as he's attending some meetings, and for that meetings he's writing some topics over that meeting, that is minutes of meeting. And thus he's writing something on games, he's playing games, or he's using some game features. All those things are done in separate files. Now all those files once done on a particular day, he needs to create one folder or a directory on which he can save those files, and for that direct single level directory system can be used. Next is, when vice versa, when I have one directory under which I have four or more than four files. Second type is hierarchical directory system. So hierarchical directory system, as the name says, it's hierarchy. Hierarchy is levels set for storage. That is, you have one root directory under which you have 3 user directories, and under those user directories you have n number of user files and subdirectories. Means we will take an example of our nowadays computer. You have one single user root directory. In that root directory you have C drive, D drive, E drive, F drive, external drive, everything. So these are user directories. After those user directories, I have n number of folders in that directories, which can be said as subdirectories, that is user subdirectories. Can you see? User subdirectories. In that user subdirectories, I have notepad files, I have word files, I have PowerPoint files, I have Excel files, all those files. So these are a hierarchy set under your system, so that you can do an level of arrangement of your files. We'll read further. A single level is adequate for simple dedicated applications. Now if you go for a single level directory system, it's adequate enough for a simple application. For example, personal computers which are only operated by single user. But modern users with thousands of files, it would be impossible to find anything if all files were in a single directory. So if in today's modern computer, if you go for a single level directory system and if you arrange all the data into that one single file, that is impossible. What is needed is hierarchy, that is tree of directories. Tree of directories, why they have given it a name that like a similarity like a tree of directories? Because tree of directories somewhere here means a level, that is, a tree has a root, it has a branch, then it has stems to that branch, then it has leaves, it has fruits, it has flowers. Likewise, a hierarchy is being given to your system, so that you can save the files according to your needs or as per your needs. Furthermore, if multiple users share a common file server, as is the case of many company networks, each user can have a private root directory for his or own hierarchy. So it's not compulsory that when you go for a hierarchy level system, that one root directory will be accessed by everybody. There can be one root directory, second root directory, third root directory, depending on how many users are logging onto that computer network for that system access. I repeat again, depending on how many users log in with that computer network on a separate system, like a single system with a separate network access. So totally depends on that how many root users will be there. So now means what? Suppose if I am accessing a computer system over my network, I am using a separate directory, that is wherever I have saved my file. If another person is using a network, the same network, and using his or her data, so that will be another root directory. Likewise, you can create separate root directories also under hierarchy level for arrangement of file and data. This approach is shown in figure 4.7. Here, directories A, B and C contained in the root directory each belong to different users. See now, here if I say I have one single root directory. In that I have A as user 1, B as user 2, C as user 3. I can have D, I can have E, I can have F, I can have G. I can have many number of user directories under one root directory. So this cannot be changed priorly, as they have given the example. Then under that you have created some subdirectories for projects they are working on. So as I am working on A, this is my particular directory, I have created one subdirectory which I want. So A has not created subdirectory. That circle denotes a file, that square denotes a directory. So B has created two directories, subdirectories and two files. C has created three directories, subdirectories and 5 files. So likewise, it totally depends on user that how many folders they are creating, how many directories they are creating and how many subfolders they are creating inside it, and then they are storing the file. Totally depends on the user, that is a hierarchy which is being set. The ability for users to create an arbitrary number of subdirectories, arbitrary means uncountable, subdirectory provides a powerful structuring tool for users to organize their work. Yes, if I am not going for work today, that is I am not working today, that is I have an off or I have taken a leave. If I have taken a leave, I need to tell my colleague that I have done this work and please go and check it. If I want to check that, what I will do? I will tell that person the path, that yes, my file is been there in C drive, it is there in this name folder. Then in that folder I have 3 files from which today's date file is being saved. Please go and check. So what I am defining only the path through which my colleague who is accessing my work, what he can do is he can easily structure my work as well as access my work and organize the data properly. So with which if you go for a hierarchy level, organization of work becomes more easy. For this reason, nearly all modern file systems use hierarchy level system. Next is the path name. So yes, as I specified, how can I identify the files? When I'm going with the hierarchy, this is being done in my system. How do I get to know that this is the hierarchy of my things? So I have a specific path which gets Unix directory tree system. So through this, your system generates the path in which your files are saved. So these are the what you say mandatory file paths which are there for your system. These are not user created paths. These are the temp files, etc files, your bin files. I guess you are more familiar with bin files. What are bin files? Which you delete and it goes in the recycle bin. They are not been permanently deleted. That are bin files. Library files are accessing the file for a particular application to access. User files are which user creates. Then there are temp files, temporary created files. If they have any error into it, they will be converted to temp file and then user can delete it. So likewise, these, can you see /usr/gim means what? My user has created one file gim and that is in the path separately created. Gim file is there, and how does I identify the path? That is /usr/gim means I have the file in the root directory USR. Then USR has 3 files from which GIM is the one file. And how do I write it? /USR, that is the main directory, then the subdirectory, likewise. So Unix directory file system is likewise when you specify the path names. Next is directory operations. Now as you have read the file operations, you have directory operations as well. How do you, like file has open, delete, create, rename, set, get, all those attributes. Likewise you have directory operations as well. The first directory operation is create. Why do you use create? So create is to create a folder or a directory. Second one is deleting, is to delete a directory. Open dir is opening the existing created directory, means priorly I have created one folder or directory named Prajakta. If I need to open that existing thing, I can go for open dir. If I want to close that existing directory, I can go for close dir. Read dir is for only reading, not making any changes and just saving it, that is closing it. Rename is to rename the directory with any name. If you do not want that name to be the same for a longer time, you can change the name with the help of rename operation. Linking is if I want to link it with some another file, I can go for link. Unlink is if I want to remove the link between two different directories, I can go for unlinking the file, that is connecting the files. These are the operations. So now please go through the file operations as well as directory operations properly, because in the practical you have these operations for performing, that is create, delete, open dir, close dir, then there is mkdir, then there is update, many operations are there. So we'll be going through that in the practical, but time being please go through these things so that you can recollect it while the practicals. Next is the file system layout. So when I say I am storing a file, there is certain layout in which my file is going to work, and in that file how do I arrange my data? That is, I have an entire disk on which my file is being stored. So when I say it's an entire disk, I have MBR, that is most bits recent, then have maximum bits, that is relatable, then partition table. Why do you require a partition table? The first thing what my comes in mind is partitioning is dividing. When I divide it into equal levels, whatever data I am inserting goes in a proper sequence and an equal format to enter it into the data. Then you have disk partition. Disk partition again contains boot block, super block, free space management, inodes, root directory, files and directories. The last thing which comes is file and directories. Before that, all these datas are also being stored into your file. We'll see each and every one in detail. The very first is file systems are stored on disk. Whenever you create any of the file, your files are stored on the disk. Most disks can be divided up into one or more partitions. So now each disk requires a division, and that disk is divided into partitions, that is a equal partition or in small partitions, so that your data gets divided and inserted properly. Then you have sector 0 of the disk is called as MBR, master boot record. That is, MBR is for master boot record, that is the main record of your file and is used to boot the computer. When your system boots, that is it starts, that time it will refresh all your files which are on the disk with the help of master boot record. End of the master boot record contains the partition table. Now partition table is to show you a proper partitioning of each and every partition further with the help of numerical values which are there. That means, suppose if I have a file with a name starting from A and ending, all the file list is there, and then I have it ending with T. So it will show you all the ranges of addresses in which your files are saved. So what does the partition table give me? This table gives the starting and ending address of each partition. That is, it starts from 0. If it ends to 5, it will show you 0 to 5. That is the I'm just giving an example. Address does not mean only one number. It is 192.168.1.0, 1.5, 1.3, 1.2. Likewise, it will give you a range of starting and ending or address of each partition. Now it is not only one single partition, there are many partitions. So with this your data is being saved. One of the partitions in the table is marked as active. Every time when people are working, every task which is going on, at a time only one record will be active, other all will be unrecorded, that is inactive. When the computer is booted, when the computer starts, the BIOS reads in and executes the MBR first. Means what is BIOS? Basic input output system, which runs on your computer, and that time it will refresh the MBR also, that is the master boot record, for refreshing or listing all the files which are there on the disk. The first thing the MBR program does is locate and active the partition, read in its first block, and which is called the boot block, and execute it. The first thing the MBR will do is it will refresh the boot block to check the each and every partition. Next is that is called the boot block. Then the program in the boot block loads the operating system contained into that partition. Means if that particular file is created in Microsoft Windows 7, it will provide it with the boot block, will provide it with the required operating system on which it is running. For uniformity, every partition starts with a boot block. So every partition when you create will start with a boot block. Means what? See here, if I have one partition, two partition, three, every partition will have all those details. Means this will have all these details, this will have all these details, that is every partition will start with a boot block, super block, free space management, inode, root directory, files and directory, data. So every uniform partition will have these data. Next is other than starting with a boot block, the layout of a disk partition varies a lot from file system to file system. Now it is not necessary that my boot block will be at the start for every file system. Now this is for your normal file system. If you go for Linux file system, boot block will be at the third level also, depending on which file system you are using. Often the file system will contain of the items shown in 4.9. The first one is the super block. It contains all the key parameters about the file system and is read into the memory when the computer is booted or the file system is first touched. What it will do, super block will have all the details of the file which are there, that is it will have your data related to file, that is creation, deletion, then the size of the bits which are there, all such details will be there in the super block. Typical information in the super block includes a magic number to identify the file type system, then the number of blocks in the file system and other key administrative information. So what does the super block have? A super block will have magic number, that is auto generated number for a file. Then you have file type system, that is it's a NTFS file, or it's a normal file, or it's a key generated file, whatever it is, it will be identified there. Then the number of blocks inside the file, that is to identify the bits of data, how much is there in the file. Then the next might come the information about free blocks in the file system. So how much space is free, for example in the form of bitmap or in the list of pointers. This might be followed by the inodes of an array of data structure, one per file. So what are inodes? Basically inodes are array of data, that is a range of data which will be there in the form of data structure, that is in the form of algorithms, one per file. So every inode will be there for one single file, separately, telling about the file. So describing the file with the help of an algorithm or with the structure of data, of array of data, is called as an inode. After that might be the root directory, which contains the top of the file system tree. So what will be the next one? The root directory in which your file is being stored. So this is all what is the structure of your file. Then the next one will continue in the next lecture. We'll stop here. Thank you.